Hey y'all, Old God here. Today we're just going to be going over the Palindrome, specifically in PvE. This is just going to go over perks, whether I think it's useful, and whether I think it fits in the current sandbox, and if it does, where does it fit in, right? Now, before I get into the perks and how I think this weapon works in the sandbox currently, I'm going to go over how to actually obtain this. So you can farm Nightfalls and buy it from Zavala. Whenever it's the weekly Nightfall weapon, you can get this gun in its Adept version. But even if you get the normal gun, apparently, and based on my experience and what everyone else has said, it is dropping with 2 perks in the left column, just the same as Adepts usually do. So you can kind of farm the Adept roll and then spend your engrams and Nightfall tokens on the normal one to increase the rate at which you get Palindromes per clear. So starting off, what do you want on the barrel, magazine, and masterwork? I would recommend going with anything that has range or reload. I think reload is very, very important on hand cannons, so I tend to go with things like flared magwell, tac mag, and a reload masterwork, if I can get it. For the barrel, I tend to just go more range, especially on this hand cannon. I don't think it really needs any sort of recoil control, kind of like Midnight Q does, but overall, you're going to see why we don't really need range on this hand cannon too much. And now we'll begin with the first set of actual perks here. So I actually have both of the perks that I wanted to go over inside of this video on this drop. This is Recycled Energy and Explosive Payload. I'm going to start off with the Recycled Energy just to get that out of the way. I think this perk is kind of dog water, personally. Reloading after defeating targets grants energy to your lowest charge ability. Originally, I thought you could get multi-kills and then reload, and it would give you a lot of ability energy. But actually, it seems to only proc off of 1 kill, and then it caps after 1 kill. So I think this is just flat out worse than Demo, Pugilist, and Strategist, as you need to reload after actually, getting the kill. The other perk in this column is Explosive Payload, and this is the one I'm going to recommend for all of your PvE drops. What this does is it basically creates a mini AoE on the impact. This gives you 10 to 15% increase in damage on single targets. It also allows you to reach farther as it decreases damage fall off by splitting the damage. This is kind of why I don't think range is that needed on this gun for PvE purposes, as Explosive Payload kind of makes that up for you. That's also why I kind of like reload on Palindrome, especially with the mag and masterwork, because I will not be running a reload perk like Outlaw in this column. I will be running Explosive Payload, and I would rather kind of build into reload to iron out my reload speed. So next we have the right hand column. So we've established Explosive Payload on all of our drops, but now we're going to talk about the 3 different perk options. First, we have Desperate Measures, right? So getting ability kills just grants you, multiple stacks of Desperate Measures. It goes from 1 to 3 stacks. 1 stack is 10%, 2 stack is 20%, and 3 stacks is 30% increase in damage for the gun on a 7-second timer. This is just really useful and a very solid perk in the modern sandbox because pretty much every build that everyone uses has tons of ability damage and uptime. So you're going to be getting this perk a lot no matter the difficulty of content. I think this is a really solid perk. All in all, this should add up to around 40 to 45% increase in damage depending on whether you hit a crit or a body shot. The next perk roll I'm going to recommend is Explosive Payload Master of Arms. I struggle to really recommend this one for one reason that I'll get to after I kind of go over how this works. But overall, Explosive Payload and Master of Arms are both very solid perks. Master of Arms grants you a 15% increase in damage after getting 1 kill, and gives you a 25% increase in damage after getting 2 kills. 1 stack of Master of Arms has a 7-second timer, and 2 stacks is a 4-second timer. Now you might be thinking, what? Master of Arms 4-second timer if I get multi-kills? Why would I use that? Well, if you get 2 stacks of Master of Arms, right, you have a 4-second timer. When you lose ×2 Master of Arms, it doesn't just go away completely. It'll actually revert back to ×1 Master of Arms. Collectively, if you get 2 kills, you have 4 seconds of 25% increase in damage and 7 seconds of, I believe, 15% increase in damage, which is the same as Frenzy. That pretty much makes this gun have 11 seconds of increase in damage. All in all, 11 seconds of a damage perk is really nice, and on a hand cannon, you're probably going to get a kill in under 11 seconds, no matter the difficulty of content. Now, the bad interaction that I want to go over here is what makes me struggle to recommend this. Now, in the future, if Bungie fixes this issue, then I would recommend this perk roll to anyone as sort of a damage perk hand cannon with arc flavoring, but currently I can't. And the reason why is Master of Arms and Explosive Payload currently have a negative interaction that basically makes Explosive Payload's damage decrease down to like 2%, I believe. It utterly kills the damage of this weapon, I'm not going to recommend it at all. If they do fix it, then boom, I think this is back on the table. So the final roll we're going to go over here is Explosive Payload Rolling Storm. You already know how Explosive Payload works, but Rolling Storm, 1 kill gives you Bolt Charge, just 1 stack of it, but if you're amplified, you get 2 stacks. Now, I've been told if you enhance the perk, you might actually get 4 stacks while amplified. This is just according to Reddit users. I have not tested this myself, so, you know, enhance at your own risk here. But I'm going to try it, and I'll leave a comment under the video just to let y'all know if it actually does that. If it does, I think this makes this perk way better. And I think this is just pretty solid if you're looking for that unique factor. This is definitely a more unique role that Palindrome can only do. It's the only primary in the game currently with Rolling Storm, and it happens to also be on a 140 hand cannon, which just makes this probably one of the better Rolling Storm weapons going forward. Do I think this weapon is good? Where do I think it sits in the sandbox? I'll give you a pretty short and sweet answer. Desperate Measures and Master of Arms will provide you with the classic damage perk style hand cannon that you probably all know. Kind of like an Arc Fatebringer, Arc Midnight Coup, that kind of deal. It's not doing anything fancy, but it's always useful to have one of these in different elements, different slots, and personally, I'm going to hold on to probably both of those perks just for that reason alone. How about Rolling Storm? Now, I think if you're on Arc Titan, this perk is kind of useless currently. Now, Bolt Charge with the Barricade aspect on Arc Titan kind of does all the Bolt Charge you'll ever need, and I don't see Palindrome really enhancing your experience that much at all. But if they ever nerf Barricade with Arc Titan, I think this Palindrome role will be great on Arc Titan. As for Warlocks and Hunters, they don't have as much access to Bolt Charge consistency as Titans do, and I think this is a great weapon to just kind of iron out, you know, how your build is going to work with Bolt Charge. I am a little bit disappointed, as a lot of people were too, that this gun didn't get perks like Eddy Current, Jolting Feedback, Volt Shot, but I still think Rolling Storm presents itself in a very unique manner on this hand cannon, and I am thankful they did Explosive Payload in the left-hand column on this weapon instead of putting it on the right, because that would have been a huge bummer for the gun. So I think overall this is more of a unique gun. It'll probably sit in your vault until you need an arcane cannon to match like a Surge or something within like a Pantheon Master activity. Or if you have the Rolling Storm roll, it'll just kind of iron out your Bolt Charge in your build if you happen to be lacking Bolt Charge for whatever reason. Anyways, that's Palindrome and how I kind of think it sits in the PvE sandbox. I hope this video was helpful, educational, and helped you decide if you want to actually hop into Nightfalls and farm this Palindrome. Anyways, have a good one.